welcome to A Slob Comes Clean, the podcast. I am Dana K. White. I share my personal deslobification process. As I figure out ways to keep my own home under control, I share the truth about cleaning and organizing strategies that actually work in real life for real people who don't love cleaning and organizing. Thanks for joining me today. I'm not sure which podcast number this is, but I am doing something kind of fun. So as you know, I have my Patreon group, my Kindred Spirits, and we had an in-person retreat. And so I asked some of them if they would just come on and share a pivotal or transformational moment for them in their own process in getting their home under control. So we're not going to share any names or anything. It's all private, but they've agreed to do this for the podcast. And I think it's really fun to hear from others what has been the difference maker for them. So I hope you'll enjoy this podcast. Here we go.
So with my disability, the take it there now seemed hard for me. So when I was on the Kindred Spirits call, I mentioned that I was putting everything from a room in a box to take to the other room. And I felt like I was making progress. So that was good. And it was nice to get encouragement from the group. But then I listened to the thing on the tortoise and the hare, and I'm going to try this for a week. You just kept saying, just try it, just try it. And that really made a difference because I felt like I couldn't go there now with my disability or I wouldn't get enough done. But once I started doing that, I really tried it just for a week, and it was amazing. And doing it in the areas where you spend the most time, that really helped too. So I really enjoyed using that. It's been helpful.
Did you continue after that week to take it there now?
Oh, yeah. I'm still taking it there now. Yes. Yes. It's funny how that bleeds into other areas of your life too, where it's like, just get it done now. Just get it, Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
A very transformational moment for me was when I was able to spend more time at home with my very young children. I had a toddler and a baby, and I realized that when I achieved my clutter threshold, I was able to enjoy our home, be present with my kids. They had more fun. Everyone was just more at peace. And I just felt like so much less frazzled on my daily life. And I could just really enjoy those very precious moments with them. And that was a turning point for me. And we just really can't go back.
So how long did it take you to reach your clutter threshold?
I would say it took several years overall, and certainly started well before having kids. But because my job was so consuming and just time and energy intensive, I wasn't ever home. And I always had put things off to when I have the time. And clearly, in that scenario, you never actually have the time. And so when I finally did have the time to practice the methods, I spent so much time doing it before the kids that when I had the kids with me, then it was a whole new perspective because there were all the kids' items and how we interacted with them. So it really doesn't happen overnight in any sense. And it is like peeling the layers of the onion. And you just realize that starting with trash, that's the outer layer. And moving in toward the more sentimental items or the more difficult items to think about is where the 5-step process really shined for us, because I was able to let go of things that simply were not within the clutter threshold, but that were otherwise great items that somebody could enjoy, but that we weren't enjoying because we were living above our threshold.
My turning point for the decluttering was so a few months after we started listening to Decluttering at the Speed of Life, my husband and I were taking a trip to Cleveland, and we were going to be gone over a week. And I was late traveling, which is something that I'm always late to everything. And I had thrown anything that you could possibly need for the entire week into the suitcase, which was overstuffed. And at that particular airport, they had a cutoff of 50 minutes, and I was used to 40 minutes. So as I came in, they said, I'm sorry, you won't be able to check your bag. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I need to check my bag. And she said, well, you can try to take it through TSA. And I knew it wouldn't go through. It had everything in there, full size, just anything we could possibly need. And so when she said that I couldn't take it, then I had time to run back out to my car because it's a small airport and quickly grab just a few things that I knew would make it through TSA, just like a change of clothes, and then raced back through TSA and got there. And I was actually super emotional and I was crying, and my husband's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, I love you more than this stuff. You know, it was like just in that realization that you're willing to just like walk away from everything that you thought that you needed, because like what matters? And we just have so much stuff. So that was really a turning point. And so our journey continued, and that was in October, and my birthday was in January, and the kids were asking. My kids are young adults, and so they were a senior and sophomore in high school at the time, and they wanted to know what I wanted for my birthday, and I asked them to listen to Decluttering at the Speed of Life. I had it on Audible, and so when they were in the car driving to and from, it was absolutely, as Dana would say, game changing. I started to see the little steps, and as a family, we were doing the 5-minute pickups, and we're finally to get some hope just on things that had gotten so out of control. And I told them if I had known the skills at their age, it just would have been such a gift. So it's really been fun to watch them be able to put some of those steps into, and they do. They are still learning what their clutter threshold is and taking the steps in their lives. It's super fun to watch.
All right. So I found Dana 3 times, this last time most successfully. And it was at a time in my life where I needed to make brain space. And it turns out that I needed to make space in my home for my brain to function. And while doing so, I found the second time I'd found her, which meant I'd found her the third time. And I finally got to the right place in the internet and found the 5 steps. And I said, I have time for 5 steps. And I made it through 1. And I did that again and again and again. And then I did the dishes. And now you can walk through my home almost every day.
My turning point was realizing that if everything is special, not everything is special. And my memories are my memories. Cleaning out my grandma's house so my sister could move in, we found lots of memories that I had no idea they were my mom's memories or my uncle's memories. The one thing I remembered was the egg whisk, the little springy thing that she would make, what I called bacon inside the eggs. She would fry bacon, whisk up the eggs, and then pour it over, and that was my favorite breakfast. I brought that with me because I remember that, and I can use it with my kids. So when my kids see it in the drawer, in the utensil caddy, they will have their own memories attached, and that's how my grandma is going to live through them, because that I had the memory, I brought it, I used it, and then it can continue on. And if it continues to their kids, great. If not, it served its purpose and it can be let go because it's just an item and the memories are what's going to stay.
And I love that so much because it really, I think it's so profound that she was choosing to not put it in a box to be, quote, special, where then it would be discovered by future generations who wouldn't even know what it was or why it was special. But because she used it, now it's special to her kids. And I think that's so powerful.
I think one of my most transformational moments was when the idea behind utilizing awkward pauses clicked in my brain. And I have a tendency to have 5-10 minutes here or there quite frequently before I'm ready to walk out the door, and I don't want to be late. And so I don't get involved in things. But when I thought through the process of, if I just use the 5 steps, it doesn't matter how long I have. And so now I can spend those 5 minutes and get rid of trash or go put something away or start emptying the dishwasher. I don't have to finish if it takes more than 5 minutes. 5 minutes, I stop, I go about my business, but it's better than it was before. And so I'm leaving something maybe partially done, but it's partially already completed. So that's good. Like I can keep going when I get back and have another 5 minutes to finish emptying the dishwasher or putting away the rest of the stuff on the counter or whatever the activity is that I'm trying to do. But that was definitely a moment of, oh, okay. All right, I can make a lot more progress. I don't have to have a chunk of 30 minutes or a chunk of an hour. I literally can make progress in 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm a big fan of Dana. I'm girl crushing right now. I found her podcast a long time ago and something just clicked, and she's so funny. It was just like, okay, she knows what happens. Like my mom was very organized growing up and she kept the house spick and span and she had a lot of stuff. And I struggled with that. I used to think, if you have stuff, you just buy more things to put them in, more containers. Like, okay, I'm running out of space in one bookshelf, go get another one, maybe 2 more. Till I watched her video of that container concept with the red big cup and the pens. I'm like, oh, that's how you do it. It's like that totally clicked. It's like, okay, that was an eye opener and that was a good start. Since then, I've been on a journey getting rid of stuff, cutting down. And I was on the path of minimalism for a couple of years. So I did my wardrobe for that. But then I was like, okay, I can't do this. Came back to my stuff. I started with my own things, decluttering. And then my kids are out of the house. So I had a talk with them once they were married and their spouses. It's like, tell me what you want. Because I had cleaned out my parents' house, my in-laws' house after they passed, and then my aunt's house. And the stuff they had was just too much. And I had to do it. It was very emotional, very taxing. And actually, my mom's stuff, I couldn't even touch it for 2 years. I just had to box it and put it away. And I do not want anyone else to go through that. So I asked my kids and asked them what they want, and they were like, nothing. I'm like, oh, okay, that helps. Then I don't need to store all this. And while we were doing this, COVID happened. And my adult daughter moved back home because the colleges were shut down. Then my in-laws had to move in with us because my mom-in-law was very, very sick. She had severe dementia, Alzheimer's. So I had to clean out 3 rooms for them. And nobody was accepting donations at that time. So I had to call someplace to just throw it, bedroom sets and you name it, my dining room set. And then personal stuff, I moved into the garage. Garage was overflowing with it. And I had never been able to park a car in my garage anyways. But this was just really, really bad. Once things settled down and, my daughter moved out and they passed, it's like, okay, time to get things back in the house. But by then I knew what Dana always tells us, that no mess method. And I am a huge fan of that. I was like, I'm not going to bring this in till I can go through and only bring in what I really, truly need. So 1 box at a time took me almost 2 years to go through that. And I'm happy to tell you that now I am able to park both cars in my garage. There's nothing in there. And it's just awesome. My house, when people come visit for the first time, they're like, did you just move in? Because the walls are blank. I don't have any pictures up there. I have a picture frame, electronic one where the pictures are there. And that's enough for me because I tell them all the memories I need are in my heart or in my phone. And I'm good with that. I have really culled my book collection. I was a hoarder almost. And now I'm going digital. So my Kindle has about a few hundred now. But yes, I've donated and luckily our library takes those. So I did that. My pictures, I worked on them this year, digitalized most of them. So but I still have ways to go, a lot more to learn from Dana. While I was doing this, I retired a couple of years ago. And then I started going to our senior center and I realized there are people who are drowning in stuff. And, these were adults my age who's got empty nesters and now they're looking to downsize, but their kids have all moved out and they just don't have the time. And they're like, okay, mom, dad, when you're gone, we're just going to hire a big dumpster and just dump everything in there. And so they're like, they're not, the parents are not ready to do that. So I'm like, okay, I did do Dana's course, the organization thing. I never got certified because I never, like did the final questions. And I'm like, I like doing this. I love helping people. That's my passion. I like organizing. I'm not really organizing, but decluttering. I mean, I learned the difference from Dana because before it was like, oh, just get more containers and organize things. It's like, no, it doesn't work. And I have helped a few people since, and they've been very appreciative and really grateful that I was able to donate my time. So I volunteered. I would go to their house, sit down with them, and just help them go through things and, make lists, see, okay, check with your kids if they want this or not. And I found a lot of them were at a place where I was, where, okay, I need to find a home for everything. And then Dana was like, no, you don't. You can just get it out of your house, get it out of your space. And the biggest thing I learned is it's okay to break up sets. I had china from my wedding for sitting for 30 years, never being used. It was just too pretty. And then I just kept one cup and one saucer, and that's okay. And I donated the rest. So it's been very enriching helping others and, seeing the joy that it brings to them, especially when they're downsizing for huge homes and some of them move to assisted living and you can only take so much. And I really, really find that rewarding. And I wouldn't have gone down that path if it had not been for Dana and everything I've learned from her. So, and there's still more. I'm still growing and learning every day that I'm here. I'm so grateful to be here with her. Like I said, I am girl crushing now. Thank you.
So as I think about the 5-step decluttering process, I have looked at so many different organizing and decluttering methods over the years, and some of them have worked temporarily, but for the most part, throughout the phases of my life, nothing was working permanently or moving me along very fast or at all, really. So I started reading Decluttering at the Speed of Life, and just the 5-step decluttering method was simple enough that I could remember it all of the time, no matter where I was in my house, no matter what the situation was. And I could also communicate that occasionally to family members. So I think the simplicity of it appealed to me because I have a tendency to overcomplicate things, as many of us do. I think that's sometimes how we get to where we are. And it worked. And it worked like recently I did what some people call their junk drawer in their kitchen. And I don't know if I called it that, but it was very junky. And I just kept thinking, why can't I just have this drawer where I know what's in there and it's accessible and it doesn't make me nuts? So I applied the 5-step decluttering method and it still is clean. This was a few months ago. And I've taken pictures and sent it to my kids. And they're like, oh, we've never seen that drawer like that. No, you haven't. And some other things that people are starting to notice a change. And I really appreciate that. I'm starting to notice a change. I guess I've been at this about a little over a year. And there are parts that kind of revert back if I'm not careful. But if I apply the method, it works like a charm. And I think almost anybody can do it. And I encourage all of my friends who I know are kind of in the same situation as teachers to use the method because it works.
I have listened to Dana since probably 2016, mostly podcasts and audiobooks. And I feel like I haven't had just one aha moment. I feel like it's been a gradual change. A lot of the strategies and the little sayings have just become a part of my inner monologue and my inner thoughts. And so now just pick up the trash, start with trash is the first thing when I'm trying to clean off a counter or when I'm done with a project. One of the things she said is you either have to do it now or do it later. And I have just developed the habit of doing it now and getting things put away and not having to worry about it later. And it's been a gift to my future self so that then I don't have to worry about those things. And I think just recently I realized getting ready for a party for my daughter, to have friends over, I didn't have to think about it weeks ahead. I helped my daughter with decorations, but pretty much the day of the event, we did some cleaning to get ready for everyone. And then we had everyone there and enjoyed the time. And it wasn't stressful to get ready for that event. And so it's just been a very, very gradual mindset and habit change over the years.
When I think back many years ago when I first started this, the one thing that stood out to me, or the first thing that stood out to me, was when you talked about having a room in your home or rooms in your home you're paying for, yet you're unable to use them. You've got all this square footage, but it's unuseful square footage. I don't know what it was about that, but it resonated with me that I'm paying for this, but I can't use it. And when you went off and talked about what is the function of a room, when you know the function of the room, it's easier to shed the things that don't belong in there. And as a homeschool mom, my home was full of, or still is, but it was full of homeschool books, homeschool curriculum, homeschool manipulatives, everything school, because that was my life. But every room was that. So as my children got older and I began to see them want to move around more in the sense of just having people over, and me having a clear enough mind to be able to entertain people over, I needed to make some changes because I had no clarity of thought. I was constantly anxious just because my mind was cluttered, just as my home was cluttered. And for years, and whenever my kids ask me, Mom, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Mother's Day? I can just let them answer the question. They'll say a clean home, but what else do you want? But so they know that's a driving force with me, is to have an uncluttered home so that I can be uncluttered and I'm better able to be present for them, to be present for myself, and to be present for what God has for me to do in this world at this time.
It's been said that there's a fine line between being a teacher, a scoutmaster, and a hoarder. And I fit into all three of those. So I have been collecting things for well over 25 years with an aspiration of opening my own childcare center, which I could do, but life gets in the way. So I have a house full of materials and inherited parent things and my kids' things. And there's just far, far too much. So finding a way to feel at peace with all of my stuff, and my kids' stuff and my husband's stuff, because he was also a collector. So I have a house of accumulated well over 45 years of stuff, and finding a way to now empty it all out. My youngest son and his kids lived with me for 18 months. And when they did, we basically whooshed everything. Everything went into boxes. Some of it got labeled. Some of it did not. And in that meantime, I also was slowly trying to get rid of stuff to make room for my kids and their family. And I, over the years, have followed the Sidetracked Home Executives, started there, so we're talking 80s, and then evolved into Fly Lady, and then came across Dana and Cass and Dawn as an evolution went through online decluttering processes. And Dana's was the one that really resonated with me in terms of I could follow 5 steps. I can get rid of the trash. I can get rid of the take it there now, which is probably the biggest piece of it, being able to find a place where I think it should go, where I'm going to find it first. And I usually can find it, so that's helpful. Even when I need something for work or I need something for scouts or whatever, I can generally find it. One of the things that Dana has said in a podcast was your identity clutter and that need to be the savior and find the right place for it to go and going, I've got that. I can help you. Those are all things that have contributed to my holding on to things. But now those don't have to be a part of it. That I can look at something and go, that's not me anymore. I am moving on to do other things. Retiring as Scoutmaster. My job in the current early childhood center has ended. I do not need to be the family archivist anymore. So being able to pass on the donations or possibly selling it, although Dana has reminded us that eBay is usually not the way to go, so you might as well just get it out of the house and give it away. It's a slow process. I mean, I've been working at decluttering and getting rid of things for a long time, and part of the problem is not bringing new stuff in. So I'm not bringing new stuff anymore. I'm taking my closet full of, oh, that would be nice for this person, and oh, I should pick this up for that person. And so I'm regifting those things. I'm sending them out. Letting go of things is still really, really a challenge because I have the survival mode. What if I can't find it? I grew up in the country, and Walmart was not down the street. Town was 30 minutes away. So I'm still struggling with, I don't need to keep anything or everything anymore. So bit by bit, 5 steps, it's all working out slowly but surely.
Are you seeing visible progress? And does that help you build some momentum as you go?
I hesitate to say yes because it is still my aspiration to open a childcare center. So there are so many things that I'm keeping hold of just in case. I have made some goals that in the next year, I will either open the center or I will create Auntie M's Emporium for early childhood, and it will be an exchange and a give, because I still want my stuff to go to people who are going to appreciate it. And that's something that I still need to overcome. I mean, when my children moved out over the summer, the rooms in my house are empty and they echoed, and I haven't allowed stuff to be sucked in. So if it comes in, it's intentionally going someplace else.
Hi. Dana White gave me hope. She shared her experiences in a way that made me say, oh, somebody else thinks like me. The discussions about, well, I could use this. I have 2 Depression-era parents, and they could always use things, and they didn't throw away trash. And, this bent paperclip could be straightened and used again. And have creative kids, a crafty daughter who could make anything out of anything. So I just kept collecting things that could be used. And I had an organized mother who had an organized house. So I thought I should be able to organize things, but I just didn't understand. When Dana had her evaluations of things and the crazy questions that you would ask yourself that I thought, oh, she's been in my head. She heard me answer that very same question. How does she do this? I learned that I wasn't broken, that my brain just worked a different way. And with your progress, only progress, and 5 minutes matters, I found that I could begin to move forward. I wasn't stuck in having to try to solve everything at once, which meant nothing was going to be solved. The questions or the concepts that worked was the containers concept, which was a completely new definition of the containers. I didn't need more. I just needed to know what went in the containers and collect like items and find that 12 pairs of scissors weren't necessarily needed, especially the ones that my kids used to use when they were 3 and 4, that they weren't going to use now. So a container concept and where would I look for it first, and 5 minutes matters, were just all completely, totally life-changing. Beginning to look around at spaces that I cleaned but kept getting cluttered again, and finding what the problems were in those spots. And all-day declutter, first all-day declutter that I went to, I cleared surfaces, but I conquered 3 drawers that people couldn't return things to and couldn't find things from. And doing the dishes every night and convincing family that doing the dishes was the way to get supper because we could cook the next day. And then us being able to put away all of the utensils from the kitchen was and has remained just life-changing. It's like, oh, wow, we have a space that works. And, oh, we can go to the next little space at drawer. What about that bathroom drawer that overflows? All of a sudden, there's another space that works. So knowing that there are other people whose brains jump and bob and weave and can justify keeping everything, but learning why that's not necessary, were just huge. And then I had a lot of family members pass away, and their inventory was around. After having begun the process of evaluating what should I keep, one in, one out, I was able to see fabulous kitchen items. You know, here's the big old Pampered Chef measuring glass that Mom had. That was really awesome. And the good news was I didn't already have one. So I didn't just add it to my cabinet, which had been thinned down so that I could take something out without things falling out. I took out the ones that were less desirable and passed them on to others. And I could upgrade things, still have space, but I wasn't creating imaginary containers, needing more boxes elsewhere. And I have more of that to go through, but it is allowing the use of treasured items instead of more boxes in the garage of hidden stuff. So that plus, where would I look first? Oh my goodness. Where would I look for this? And the first few months of beginning to ask myself, now where did I say I would look for that? It's here. The family has benefited just every day because, oh, Mom can find it now in so many different things. They're seeing progress too. And I think it gives them hope that they can begin to move that way as well. Thank you, Dana. You give me joy, you give me laughter, and you help us.
I have been following Dana for several years. In fact, I have listened to all of the podcasts and multiple times have listened to the books. What I love about Dana is that she's consistent. I know I can't be consistent today, but after almost 500 podcasts, the message is still the same. And even after hearing it for the 100th time, I now have X number of days of experience of implementing her practices, her 5-step process, the Take It There Now. And so when I hear her say the same things that I've heard before, I am looking at it with a new experience, new eyes, and it starts to make sense. So if this is your first podcast that you've heard from Dana, go back to the beginning, or please keep going. You are never behind. It is the same 5-step process. And every time you listen to it, you will be looking at it through fresh eyes. You will be looking at it through experience, and it works. You just have to try it and trust in the process, because the other side is so much better, so much more liberating. And it's the greatest gift you could ever give to your future self. So just keep going, and you've got this.
I love all of these stories from my Kindred Spirits members who came to our retreat, and we got to hang out together, and I got to spend time and get to know them. And I just want to say, and I'm including you as a podcast listener, we are pretty cool people. Like, we are really fun to be around, and just some amazingly smart and funny and caring and thoughtful people. And I hope that you've enjoyed this and that you can use it as a way to remind yourself that these things that you're doing in your home actually work. They're actually going to pay off. It's not just me rambling on the internet. I mean, it is me rambling on the internet, but that's not all it is. These are out there, and there are other people going through the same things that you're going through and experiencing success, and then struggling again, and then experiencing more success and all that kind of stuff. But I hope this has been encouraging to you. And I promise this wasn't just an advertisement for Kindred Spirits, but if this makes you decide that you want to join us, the link is in the description of the podcast and the show notes. I would love to have you there. It's at patreon.com/aslobcomesclean. All right. I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.